Hello, my friends. Jacob is here one more time. Thank you for pressing play and for spending some time with me, all of you beautiful people. This program, it's really out there. It's not just out there. It's more like, I really think God is speaking. I say this in a speculative way because I don't know if the things that I'm going to share, which, by the way, if they're true, it means A, Elon Musk is in on all the things that are going on, and he's kind of like joking around and mocking us, which I don't think is the case. Or B, Elon Musk is aware of all the things that are going on, and he's trying to warn us. Yes, and this is something that I've said before. I've said in many broadcasts. There's something going on with him. The guy who wears the Devil's Champion outfit, there's something going on. Something totally sus. But there's a third option too. God could just be revealing all of these things and they're not aware of any of these things that are going on in the world. I speak specifically of what started out, well, it actually started out in like China and it's been all over the place. It's these massive chemical fires, these terrible chemical fires that are breaking out everywhere. The one that everybody is talking about, obviously, is the one that happened in East Palestine. Palestine, which is the name of Canaan. Canaan would be the promised land. So it's ironic that we have this terrible event that happened in a land that really is known for a place where we're supposed to enter into what God promised us. But now it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like the water everywhere is toxic. It seems like the water is going to get worse. But what if Elon knew? What if he knew, and what if he was warning us all? And that's what I said. Now, do you remember he had a perfume that came out called Burnt Hair? That one right there. Now, what's interesting about all of this is because on the program we had been talking about hair quite a bit. Hair as in being symbolic of the outward man, the carnality of man. Esau was hairy all over. Jacob was a smooth man. It's a picture of us being in the world. And at the time, there was so much stuff going on with the Oscar slap, with alopecia. It was all about God humbling us. And I put out a lot of warning videos about the days to come. So when Elon came out with Burnt Hair on the program, if you're new, people that have been here for a while, in the comment section, you're gonna really understand. This is gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind because it blew my mind how interesting it is that the things that I was talking about turned out probably to be true. Turns out that burnt hair that he put out there, the very first time he put it out there, it was strange. And I was worried that maybe it had something to do with, some kind of an attack, like a nuclear attack or something else. I talked about it on the show. On this show right here, I explained how I thought that, maybe something really bad is coming and maybe he's in on it. But I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe he's warning us of a comet, or maybe he's warning us of a nuclear strike. But I knew something was happening. At one point, I thought maybe it had to do with the financial system. Turns out, the other night, I woke up about 4 a.m, and it was like God reminded me, go watch your video on burnt hair. And I did. I revisited my video about this whole thing. If you remember, it was a cologne called Burnt Hair, and it was brought to you by Singed. Singed, which I explained, and you'll see as I'm going to play this clip in a moment, that was a character where there was a big war going on, right? A big war. And one side came to Singed, who was this mad alchemist, this genius, and said, bring an end to the war. And what does he do? He creates a chemical weapon that is terrible. And this is him right here. This is the guy. Look at him carrying the chemicals. Burnt Hair, brought to you by Singed. That blew my mind because I'm thinking, this whole thing that's going down, it's happening. It's a chemical attack. They're calling it like a nuclear attack, like they nuked a town. Now, what's weird about all this is that when it came out, the advertisements, the things that Elon posted were just weird. He said things like, get noticed while walking through the airport. And I think to myself, why is it the airport? And I say, well, what do they screen for at the airport? Like the number one thing they screen for, chemicals. for attacks, worry. You know, when you go through the luggage, sometimes they swab your suitcase. They want to make sure that you're not carrying in anything from like some mad alchemist named Singe and is going to do something terrible. They have these things called sniffers that sniff chemicals. Strange, right? I remember one of my friends sending me a picture, an image from that I used in that video, this image right here, and he said, it looks like the air is on fire. And I was like, yeah, it does. And now we see these fires pretty much everywhere. JJ Massey just sent me a picture of the map. It's like everywhere. And there was another one that just broke out just yesterday. Bedford, another terrible one. Why are all these chemical plants going up? Why are they all going up? And why does it seem that there's such a connection? Did Elon Musk know? Well, here's the first thing. Because I had said in the video, it said the flames begin Q1 of 2023. Take a look right there. The flames begin Q1 of 2023. Now, a lot of people are still, they're waiting for their perfume to get there. I was looking online for it. I mean, it's an interesting part of history. You know, the fact that he became a multimillionaire, sold out like overnight. I think he made like $2 million on this concept of a cologne that smells like burnt hair. Do you know what they say the air smells like, by the way, in East Palestine, Ohio? Like hair perm. Like when you get your hair perm, it smells like your hair burning, the chemical smell. That's very weird. Burnt hair. What are the chances, right? What are the chances that it's brought to you by Singed and we know he plays League of Legends? Take a look at what I said back then. And when I see things like this coming soon, I get worried. But here's the thing. Take a look at who designed burnt hair. Singed. Singe. Now, I reached out to Joseph Newhouse, who has a YouTube channel, who offered me an interesting explanation. Singed is a character from League of Legends. Elon has talked about League of Legends many times. I wanted to find a connection, but I didn't find it until today. Singed is an alchemist, a guy who was hired by a military commander to create a weapon that would bring an end to a war that seems to be at stalemate. A new kind of weapon that is absolutely horrifying and terrible. Singed poured all of his intellect and knowledge and experience into the synthesis of this new weapon. Singed. Burnt hair. The result was a fire that was so unstable and volatile and utterly horrifying. When it was unleashed, it burned hot enough to fracture stone, and it tainted the earth around it. A terrible day. The scriptures say that Christ comes as a consuming fire, and in the end, they're worried about some kind of a judgment that comes by fire. When I look at burnt hair, I see it symbolically and spiritually. Look at who it's by. Repugnant desire. Singed is burning away. Repugnant desire. Perhaps this is going to happen spiritually. Or perhaps Elon is saying it's going to happen naturally, and he's warning us all. Now, there's a lot of strange stuff about what happened in Ohio, okay? Of course, they were doing the whole digital ID thing, like right there in the beginning. Very strange, right? The Governor DeWine, he announced a new H2O program to help remove all of the lead pipes. This went down in March of 2022. There was going to be a big overhaul to the water. They had a whole, campaign. Do you know what the campaign was called? Well, before I tell you that, maybe we should take a look at what Elon said on October 12th of 2022, where he says, "Be the change you want in the world." Interesting. Yesterday, right before I put all this stuff together to do this show for you, I think to myself, I'm just getting ready in the bathroom, and I think to myself, I bet you that's like a slogan for something to do with Ohio and the water supply. And guess what? Be the change that you want. That's the program right there. It's almost like either that or Elon is like a time traveler. All of these cryptic tweets that he put out, stand out when you're walking through the airport. If you smell like chemicals, you probably would. Be the change that you want to see. Be the change is their program for the water. He even made a little joke. He goes, I guess this is a slow burn with a dun-dun, slow burn. Isn't that interesting? Because when they lit all these chemicals on fire, that's how they did it. It was slow. It was almost like that's the way you're supposed to light these chemicals on fire, like in a slow way. Very strange. Slow burn. Be the change. Burnt hair, which is what it smells like. The air being filled. I mean, you look at that ad and it looks like the air is just filled with terrible chemicals. Be the change, the water program. What are the odds of that all happening? What are the odds of me saying Q1 of 2023, there's going to be something terrible? Q1 is January, February, March, and we're still in it right now. What are the odds? Maybe, maybe God is speaking. Maybe God is trying to show us things. Maybe Elon knew and he was trying to warn people, or maybe not. Because I hope that's not the case. Maybe it's all just a strange coincidence. Maybe he was just a fan of the show and we were talking about hair and he thought, oh, burnt hair, it's funny because it smells so bad. It smells like a chemical fire. That's very weird. That's why I think you guys and gals and whoever you want to be, I think you should share the video around. I think you should tell people about the channel. Because on this show here, right, at Jacob's Ladder, again and again and again, I'll say things that I don't even know what I'm talking about, and then boom, there they are. I just get these ideas. Like I was waking up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m, go look at that perfume. Didn't even think the two were connected. Even though I said in my video, I said, oh, looks like something's gonna happen. And when I see things like this coming soon, I get worried. But here's the thing, take a look at who designed burnt hair. Singed. Singed is a character from League of Legends. Elon has talked about League of Legends many times. I wanted to find a connection, but I didn't find it until today. Singed is an alchemist, a guy who was hired by a military commander to create a weapon that would bring an end to a war that seems to be at stalemate. In the end, they're worried about some kind of a judgment that comes by fire. Perhaps Elon is saying it's going to happen naturally, and he's warning us all. And then something happens, and I have to be woken up in the middle of the night by who knows what. I would say the Spirit of the living God. I would say that God's trying to wake people up today. I would say that maybe it's time for us all to remind them who's really in charge. Because they don't obviously believe in God if they're doing these things. I mean, maybe they think they do. Maybe they think that there's a bigger plan. Maybe there is a bigger plan and I'm just not aware of it because I'm just a little measly human. But I tell you one thing, it's not good to hurt people. And it's not good to have people in a constant state of panic and fear. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening today, and it needs to end. We need to have more faith. We need to come to the knowledge of truth. We need to ask God to teach us the truth, and we need to speak life into the world. So I say, if there are plans that are to hurt us, to harm us, I say, well, no weapon formed against us will prosper, because the Lord God is on our side. So how about them apples, if you all know what's going on and you're making little jokes? How about them apples if you're too scared to tell people what's really going to happen, and you got to put out little cryptic things? Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's all just one big weird coincidence. But either way, I tell you one thing. It is the greatest time to be alive, that's for sure. And I got to remind myself at times, even though things look so terrible, I got to remind myself that ultimately God is in charge of all of this. Nothing is going down that God does not want to happen. So you better get yourself right. You better do the right thing. You better love those around you. Forgive, be compassionate, be kind, be strong. In the Spirit of God, which is love. Be strong. When people want to hurt you, offer them the other cheek. Let them do it. Know that God is going to avenge. God, my friends, is going to avenge these people. You wait and see. I told you it was going to get really rough. I told you with the eclipses. I said about halfway through it was going to get spooky. I said that this year right now was going to be, I told you in my video, and here it is. So, share it around, will you? And thank you if you support the channel on Patreon. My goodness gracious, that is such a big help. Or on PayPal, you have no idea. And it's really, there's not that many of you, but all of you, I love you so much. I'm so grateful. And if you want to get some merchandise, just go to the description of the video. All of these things help. You know what would really help? If you actually just hit the like button or leave a comment. You don't got to give me money. You don't got to buy anything. Get yourself a copy of The Calling if you want. If you can't afford it, email me. I'll send you over an ebook. I want people to read the book. I also want you all to do the right thing. I want you to go to God. I want you to pray. I want you to ask for forgiveness, because it's not going to get any easier. Okay? I'm just going to promise you that. It's not going to get any easier, but it's going to be worth it. So you do the right thing and you ask God for more and you'll get it. Okay? I love each and every one of you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the East to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling.